Biden updates the status of the war between Israel and Hamas. Tensions rise and affect the U.S. closer to home.
Today is World Mental Health Day. Will your child fall victim to the mental health crisis?
And how about a trip into the woods for a night of terror and fun?
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV Nightly News.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on ntTV Nightly News. I'm Brooke Deering.
And I'm Avery Callens. Tonight, the impact of the war between Israel and Hamas is closer to home. President Biden confirmed late today that 14 Americans have been confirmed dead, and now an unknown number of Americans have been taken hostage. CNN is confirming that Hamas militants have now killed at least 4 of their hostages, but these are believed to be Israeli civilians. Karen Kaifa has more.
President Joe Biden reiterating U.S. support for Israel on the 4th day of violent conflict with Hamas.
We will make sure Israel has what it needs to take care of its citizens, defend itself, and respond to this attack.
The fighting sending shockwaves through global diplomatic and economic spheres. Israel sits in a region of major global oil producers, and prices have moved higher in recent days. But analysts don't foresee sustained spikes at U.S. gas pumps unless the conflict is prolonged or spreads to neighboring countries.
Most oil products are very seasonal, and we're moving into the off-season for gasoline, but we're moving into the season for diesel, jet fuel, and heating oil. And that can be very insidious for inflation.
Meanwhile, U.S. congressional response, including approval of additional aid, will be limited until a new House Speaker is elected.
No speaker. It's very hard to say how anything's going to move forward.
The small group of Republicans who voted to oust Kevin McCarthy, pushing back at those who blamed them for stalling Congress, instead pointing to the Senate.
Why aren't they already preparing something for us so that when we get back in session that we could vote for it?
Some Republicans bracing for the possibility that neither GOP candidate for Speaker, House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, nor House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan can secure enough support, leaving Capitol Hill at a standstill.
Meanwhile, 9 students, faculty, and staff from Dallas Baptist University are on their way home tonight from Israel. 9 others from DBU are scheduled to leave sometime today. The university group was out touring the country when war broke out this past weekend. The fighting forced the cancellation of all airline flights in and out of Israel, but those flights are now slowly beginning to return home. There are no reported injuries among any of the DBU students or personnel.
Although many in Congress have said that they wish to pledge their support to Israel, the House is completely unable to pass any legislation due to the recent ousting of now ex-Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. With no visible progress being made on finding a new speaker and only a handful of candidates looking to take the seat, Congress is still unsure on who will be the next to lead the House. CNN's Laura Aguirre says more on what House Republicans are planning as the time for a vote draws near.
In a House divided without a speaker, there is bipartisan agreement on one point.
The world is watching. They're seeing a dysfunctional democracy.
We're demonstrating to the world that democracy is dysfunctional.
The stakes of that dysfunction now even higher amid an escalating war in Israel.
We need to be acting right now on Israel. Instead, we're trying to figure out a new speaker, or maybe perhaps still discuss, Speaker McCarthy.
We stand strongly with Israel. The House needs to get back to work.
Yes. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise is one of 2 top contenders for the speaker slot, along with House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan, recently endorsed by former President Donald Trump, but not as confident yet that he has the votes to secure the gavel.
I've said all along we need 217, 218, whatever that number is, but we need to settle that in the conference before we go to the floor.
Whoever the conference picks, I'm going to support.
Ousted Speaker Kevin McCarthy showing support for his party's next move. While not shrugging off the option, it could be him again.
I'll allow the conference to make whatever decision. Whether I'm speaker or not, I'm a member of this body. I can lead in any position it is.
Without a speaker, most agree the House is legislatively paralyzed, but confidence is high among some that could change soon.
I totally expect us to have a speaker by Wednesday. We will come out of conference united in that.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Brooke, today is the first day in 5 months I actually enjoyed my walk outside on campus.
Right, we're finally free from those triple digits. For now. Let's see what the rest of the week is going to look like with our weather anchor, Sam Price. Sam?
Thanks, guys. It is true. The weather is starting to become a little bit more chilly, but in my opinion, it's not cold enough. Right now, we have temperatures of 83 degrees and some wind coming from the south at 6 miles per hour. Clouds pretty much all over the sky, and those clouds will continue to be in the sky when we move to tonight, where the weather will become a little bit colder at 67 degrees. The wind will continue to pick up at 13 miles per hour, and it's still going to be all in the south. Tomorrow, it's going to be a little hotter with 84 degrees. Clouds will still be there, and the wind will continue to pick up to 16 miles per hour. It's going to be rather windy, but it's all shaping up to give us one of the chilliest Halloweens, hopefully one of the chilliest Halloweens I've ever seen in my life. Thank you. Back to you two.
Thanks, Sam. What's new with your health? We have the latest on a global crisis sweeping the younger population.
And how a local attraction gets spooky for me here in Denton.
Such a video games and cameras. That's right, you do.
I know.
Come on down to Chilton Library and fulfill your media dream. Located on the bottom floor next to the student sculpture. Hope to see you there soon. Hey girl, you know you look good. I like the way you move and groove. I'm not sure.
All right, look up here. 1, 2, 3.
Mom, Dad, I got it.
You're right, Mom. I have.
North Texas is growing in population every year. And while that may be great for some, it can cause difficulties in finding affordable housing.
Denton is working toward developing affordable housing, but there is a catch-22. ntTV's Sydney Jolivet is live with UNT professor Dr. Andrew Nelson, who is doing research on this issue. Sydney?
Thanks, ladies. Now, Dr. Nelson, you recently conducted a story on eviction rates in Denton County, and you found that out of 1,000 eviction cases, 71% of them, the landlord ends up winning the case. Could you elaborate on your findings a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, we study all of Denton County, but those results are specifically Denton City. And so what we found really interesting is the where of these cases, right? We found that there's a concentration of eviction cases near the two universities, TWU and UNT, as well as in high-risk displacement zones. The other thing we found, which is worth talking about, is the kind of the treatment of tenants in the court, where we found the judge would actually give out unsolicited advice to the plaintiff, to the landlord, and oftentimes deny any advice to the tenant.
Wow. And so what was your thought process when you found out that this is something that we need to discover and this is something that we need to talk about? What was your thought process behind that?
Sure. Started with the pandemic, right? I mean, I think that's when housing insecurity and inequality really was brought to the nation's attention. Of course, there were funds back then, right? Since then, I think we're starting to see evictions grow, right? And in addition to that, I should add that a lot of my students have shared with me their own experiences of having to decide between tuition and rent payment, and that's just not right.
Exactly. And so, in your professional opinion, what would you say that Denton County specifically, compared to other cities and other counties around, what could they do to better help tenants?
Great question. Well, I'd love to see more affordable housing in Denton, right? That's something I think we can all get behind for sure. But specifically on tenants' rights, we can follow the leads of cities like Kansas City and Cleveland that provide free legal representation for tenants in eviction court, which will double your chances of winning. There's other things that can be done too, like eviction programs, which we had during the pandemic, but are slowly going away now.
Thank you for your time today. And the Denton City Council is definitely playing their part with a bill that will be on the November 7th ballot. Be sure to check that out. Reporting live for North Texas Television, I'm Sydney Jolivet.
Thanks, Sydney. Well, Avery, I think it finally happened. I think our swimming days are over.
This is truly a tragedy, but at least we can start bringing out the pumpkins and the Halloween decorations.
Wait, you're so right. And maybe we'll get some fall weather with them too. Let's go ahead and see what the rest of Texas is going to look like with our weather anchor, Sam Price. Sam?
Thanks, guys. It is true. Our swimming days are finally coming to a close, but Mother Nature may have some ways of throwing curveballs at us. A few weeks ago, we saw that the heat was dissipating from the west to the east, but now today, we're seeing that the heat is dissipating from north to south, complete opposite day, with northern towns like Gainesville and Bowie being at the 85-degree mark. But as we go down to Stevensville, they're sitting at a comfortable 78. And it's going to continue to look like that when we expand the map a little bit. 87 in Oklahoma City, but in the other side of the road, 78 in Austin, in Houston. It is so cold in the south, which makes absolutely no sense, because one might think it's hotter in the south and warmer in the north. Or actually, I might have got my words a little mixed up there. Looking at our 7-week forecast, and whoa, look at all that sun. I better put my sunglasses on for this. We have temperatures of 84 and 90 for the next few days. There's going to be clouds the next 2 days, but as we move past Thursday, it's going to be rather sunny, which is going to be great for Saturday when the solar eclipse, the Ring of Fire, will give us a great view of what is to come between the moon and the sun. As we continue to progress through the week, we'll start to see that the temperatures will start to lower drastically, with lows in the high 40s and the low 50s, and highs in the mid 70s. It is true, Mother Nature has finally blessed us with cold weather, but we don't know if she'll throw one more curveball at us and give us possibly another day of swimming. All right, now we're going to throw it over to Brooke, who has some insight on World Mental Health Day. Brooke?
Thanks, Sam. The issue of mental health is one that's getting everyone's attention these days. In fact, today is World Mental Health Day. There are plenty of efforts around the country right now to try and help as many people as possible. And Avery has more to tell on what people are doing for this world event here in the U.S. Avery?
Thanks, Brooke. The National Alliance on Mental Health says half of all lifelong illnesses begin at age 14. They also say that 1 in 6 U.S. adolescents between the ages of 6 and 17 will experience a mental health disorder. With today being World Mental Health Day, CNN's Mandy Gator has more on how parents and caretakers can promote mental health and well-being.
It's a growing problem, a mental health crisis in the U.S., and young people aren't immune.
For children, we really should be paying attention, not just when there's a concern or a crisis, but ahead of time.
Pediatric psychologist Ariana Howitt is the executive clinical director of On Our Sleeves, a nationwide children's hospital initiative aimed at promoting children's mental health and wellness. She says that starts with caregivers having open-ended conversations with the child.
At dinner time, we check in with each other and we say, what was the hardest part of your day? What was your favorite part of your day? Tell me about your favorite teacher.
Howitt says parents should normalize how their child feels and model good mental health habits.
Talk about your hard days, talk about your hard emotions and what you're doing to cope with those.
Social connections are critical, so Howitt says encouraging kids to have healthy friendships and join in extracurricular activities can also promote mental wellness.
If a child feels like they're included and they're connected and they're a part of their community, their schools, their home environment, that they are more likely to be mentally well or handle stress better.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Thanks, Avery. Well, it's fall, and you know what that means. You could get sick. Highly contagious respiratory viruses start to spread rapidly this time of year. And even though COVID-19 cases are currently dipping, there is still major concern that cases could start to rise again. According to the CDC, nearly all virus-related hospitalizations since the start of the year have been due to respiratory viruses. However, there are plenty of ways to prevent infection. There are vaccines for the big three major respiratory illnesses: flu, RSV, and COVID-19. And they will help lower your chances of infection and lower your chances of the respiratory viruses becoming severe. Make sure you are always washing your hands, and if you're feeling sick, stay home to help prevent the spread and protect those who are vulnerable. After the break, I take a ghostly trip through the woods. Beware, it gets scary.
Stay tuned for more.
Let's get started. This is a motor vehicle. This is the blinker mechanism. To use it, push it up for the right blinker and down to go left. You're welcome. It was easy.
It's the spooky season, and I decided to let my Halloween spirit take over at a local haunted house just outside of Denton. But before we take a look at the mysteries of the Parker House, we want to provide a brief caution for our viewers, as this story contains scenes of flashing images and actors dressed up as creepy characters.
Every Halloween, once the city of Denton, Texas goes to sleep, the spooky characters of the Parker House are awakened to begin their night of frights.
The Parker Plantation is known for their haunted walkthrough at the Parker House, as well as their zombie paintball outbreak. For over a decade, the Parker House has been sharing its love for Halloween every October by leaving those brave enough to enter with a story, a scare, and a smile. Just when you think you've only set foot inside of a small haunted house, the Parker House takes you on a journey through a trail in the woods, where creepy characters and impressive special effects leave you wondering what's next.
They can expect a very immersive experience. Like I said, we like to tell a story, and we try to showcase that not only through the scenes that you're going through, not only through the acts that you're seeing, but in what you're hearing and smelling. And, you know, the experience as a whole is something that we really try to cultivate to make it as immersive as possible.
Just 15 minutes west of Denton, the graveled path off of West University Drive immediately sets the scene. As you drive into an immersive experience, other people's screams and laughs get your adrenaline pumping and ready to face your fears.
It was cool though, like actors was good, hiding spots was good. It was very interactive. I was pleasantly surprised.
It was fun. Yeah, it was good. It was just really scary. Yeah, it was.
All that first alley we went down, we didn't go through that for like 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, when the lights was flickering, the lights was flickering, I was like.
Now, as someone who loves to get into the spirit of Halloween, I had to see just how scary the Parker House was for myself. And let's just say, I wasn't scared at all.
Oh my God! Through here? Oh my gosh! Where do you keep coming from? Hello?
Okay, so maybe I was a little scared, but the fun didn't stop there. If you signed up for their Outbreak adventure right after the Parker House, you jump onto a paintball-equipped vehicle designed to take you on an interactive ride around the property. There, your mission is to defeat the zombies taken over by the Outbreak virus and save the world. The Parker House and Outbreak adventure has to be one of my favorite haunted attractions I've been to so far.
Not only did they have these thrilling activities, but you were also met with a gift shop and merchandise stand once you reached the end to commemorate your bravery. To learn more about how you can experience the Parker Plantation attractions, hear the story behind these haunted woods, and take part in zombie paintballing, you can visit their website at www.hauntedhousedenton.com.
The Parker House is open until October 31st, so make sure you get your tickets before they close their gates until next Halloween.
Brooke, if there's one thing about me, I love spooky season, haunted houses, and really cute costumes. It's my favorite time of the year.
Well, my favorite part of spooky season is scary movies. And one that's streaming actually has a local tie here in Denton.
That's right. Denton's infamous Goatman's Bridge is starring in a locally produced short film. ntTV's Anna Fragine has more.
Thanks, ladies. Behind me here may just look like an ordinary bridge, but this bridge has caught its big break in a feature film named Goatman. Local Denton filmmaker Trey Murphy was inspired by a tale dating back to the 1930s of Oscar Washburn, also known as the Goatman. The tale has been a popular Denton spooky story for years, and Murphy has made this tall tale into a film you can watch for yourself. With a budget of $20,000, Murphy, his crew, and some local Denton actors created a horror film bringing to light social issues from history of Denton County. This film is now streaming on platforms like Amazon, Vudu, Tubi, and many others. In addition, this film is having a live screening November 10th at the Gold Room. Me personally, I'm not the hugest horror movie fan, but for Denton's sake, I might have to check this one out. I'm Anna Fragine with ntTV News. Ladies, over to you.
Thanks, Anna. Well, one Missouri man made it his mission to sail the slimy seas this fall in a homemade pumpkin boat. That's right, Steve Cooney from Lebanon, Missouri grew and hollowed out an 846-pound pumpkin and sailed it about 38.5 miles down the Missouri River on Monday. In doing this, he set the Guinness World Record for the longest ride by pumpkin boat.
I bet that was his arm workout right there.
My arms are tied just thinking about it. But you know what else takes a lot of arm strength? Swinging bats and throwing punches. And our sports anchor Ben Wolf has more to tell us about the arm workouts that's been happening in the sports world. Ben?
Thanks, Avery. Thanks, Brooke. That's right, plenty of arm workouts and sore backs. Coming up next, Bobby Green wins UFC by knockout in the first round, and the Rangers line up for their third match against the Orioles tonight at 7 p.m.
Hey Alex, this guy on the internet says he wants to give me money.
That sounds suspicious.
What do you mean?
Typically, strangers who promise you money on the internet have their own best interest in mind. They often use bounced checks, which will disappear shortly after depositing, but not before they've asked for some money in return.
So he doesn't really want to spoil me?
No.
Well, then what should I do?
The best way to handle it is to block and report the suspicious message, or even consult local law enforcement if you've already fallen victim.
So I guess we aren't going to Key West for spring break?
No.
So a man's been walking in the desert for days at a time. He finally comes across a bar and orders a Coke.
That's not funny.
Eh? Eh?
Tonight, the Rangers go head-to-head with the Orioles. This will be their third match against the Orioles, with the Rangers up 2-0. This is their first playoff game in the Globe Life Stadium and their first home playoff match since 2016. If the Rangers win tonight, they'll be set to play in the championship, and based on their recent performance, I wouldn't expect anything less, especially with Nathan Eovaldi making his stand as starting pitcher. The Orioles have their work cut out for them. Moving forward, this past Saturday, Bobby Green and Grant Dawson stepped into the octagon for the UFC main event. Many expected 37-year-old Bobby Green to fall to the 29-year-old Dawson, as Green is approaching retirement age for the sport. But Bobby Green had different plans. In the first 30 seconds of the fight, Green defeats Dawson by knockout, with Green landing 60% of his strikes and Dawson landing none. This fight marks Green's 31st win and maybe his last. That's all for sports. Back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you for watching ntTV Nightly News.
Join us again tomorrow at noon and tomorrow evening at 6 here on North Texas Television.
My bad.